What if I told you that your mind, your thoughts, preferences, even your sense of self, has been quietly programmed since birth? Not by a single mastermind in a dark room, but by an intricate, evolving system made up of schools, media, traditions, language, and social norms. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is behavioral conditioning, psychological engineering, and almost no one escapes it completely. Let's begin with the most dangerous assumption, that your thoughts are your own. We like to believe we think independently. But from the moment we're born, we are immersed in language, symbols, customs, and systems that define how we see the world before we even realize it. Consider language. The words you use don't just describe your world, they shape it. In some languages, there are no words for left or right, only cardinal directions like north and south. Speakers of those languages literally navigate space differently. In other words, the vocabulary available to you influences the reality you're capable of perceiving. Now think about how early you were told what was good, what was bad, what was smart, what was stupid, what success meant, what failure looked like. None of those ideas were originally yours. School reinforced it, not education, but conditioning. You were graded not on creativity, but compliance. You learned how to sit still, memorize, obey. Questions were filtered, curiosity redirected. You were not taught how to think, you were taught what to think. And when the school bell rang, the screen took over. Media became the teacher. Cartoons, advertisements, influencers, news cycles. They didn't just inform you, they installed beliefs about beauty, about worth, about power, about danger, about yourself, and it was all invisible. Because programming works best when it's undetected. The scariest part? Most of it isn't done with malicious intent. It's simply inherited. Parents program children with what they were told. Teachers pass down what they were taught. Journalists report within frameworks they never created. It's not a mastermind, it's a machine, a culture running on autopilot. Let's talk about belief architecture. From religion to capitalism, from democracy to romantic love, systems are built not just on ideas, but on repeated emotional experiences. You associate certain ideas with security, others with fear. And over time, you build a map of reality that feels solid, but may have nothing to do with truth. You were trained to trust authority, to fear failure, to crave validation, to seek permission. And worst of all, you were taught that freedom lies in choosing between pre-approved options. Coke or Pepsi, left or right, this job or that job. That's not freedom, that's a menu. Part 1 ends with a simple but radical truth. Your thoughts may not be yours, but you can take them back. To do that, we must first learn how the system reinforces itself and how to break the loop. If your thoughts have been written by others, then deprogramming begins with a single decision: to stop living on autopilot. But how do you break free from a system so deeply embedded in every layer of your life? The answer isn't revolution, it's revelation. The first step is noticing, and that noticing must become a practice, not an event. You begin by becoming the observer of your own thoughts. You pause when you hear that inner critic. You stop when you feel that sudden guilt for resting. You examine your motivations. Why do you want success? Is it truly your desire, or a programmed response to external validation? These moments of noticing are microscopic acts of rebellion. They break the loop. Next comes silence. Real silence. Not the kind filled with background noise or scrolling or inner chatter, but silence as space. Space for your true voice to echo back to you. Sit without input. Let boredom wash over you. It's in boredom that the buried thoughts rise, the ones you forgot, the ones you were trained to suppress. In silence, you'll also meet your fear. Because programming has one main weapon: fear of being different. of not fitting in, of losing status, of being judged. These fears are social controls. They keep the matrix running. But fear is a compass. It points to where the lie lives. When you feel fear rise, ask yourself, what system does this fear serve? Who benefits if I stay quiet? Who profits if I believe I'm not enough? As you begin to answer these questions, you'll feel your mental cage, not physical, but psychological, built not of steel, but of stories. You must get a degree. You must work 9 to 5. You must own a home by 30. You must marry. You must be productive to have worth. Every must is a code. Deprogramming means rewriting those lines of code. Begin to replace them. You are worthy, even in stillness. You can choose your own rhythm. Success is self-defined. Rest is not laziness, it is resistance. The more often you speak these new truths, the more your neural patterns shift. The brain rewires based on repetition and emotion. This is how programming works, and it's how it's undone. Now, look at your environment. Because even the most awakened mind will default to old scripts if it's surrounded by triggers. Audit your inputs. What are you watching? Who are you following? What's on your feed? What's on your bookshelf? What are your conversations about? Do they leave you energized or depleted? Do they make you feel like a creator or a consumer? Clean your digital space like you would your home. Make it sacred. Remove voices that speak fear, shame, urgency. Curate your world like your consciousness depends on it, because it does. Rebuild your routine, not as discipline, but as devotion. Wake up slowly. Touch the earth. Breathe, move, journal. Speak with intention. Eat consciously. These are not trends. They are the rituals of a sovereign being. Redefine success. Ask yourself, what would my life look like if I didn't need to prove anything to anyone? What would I build if money weren't the measure? What would fulfillment look like if I stopped chasing applause? True freedom is internal. It's the moment you no longer need to be understood, validated, or applauded by the system you've left. But be warned, there will be grief. You'll grieve the version of you that played by the rules, the identity you wore to survive. You'll mourn the friendships built on mutual illusions, the goals you chased that weren't truly yours. Let them go. Cry if you must. That grief is sacred. It is the cost of awakening. And then, when the storm passes, you'll feel something new, a silence that feels alive, a clarity that doesn't shout, but simply is. You'll begin to remember things, not from books, but from the body. Intuition sharpens, synchronicities increase, the right people appear, time slows down. Life begins to feel less like a race and more like a rhythm. This is the rewiring. But you're not done yet, because the system is clever. It evolves. It will try to reprogram you with new scripts. Awakened influencers, commercialized mindfulness, manufactured authenticity. Even rebellion becomes a product. Stay vigilant. The final trap is believing you've escaped. Deprogramming is not a single act. It's a lifelong orientation, a daily decision to remain awake. So every morning ask, what thought am I choosing today? Whose voice is guiding me right now? Am I acting from fear or from truth? And in every choice, choose truth. Because truth is not loud. It's not viral. It doesn't flatter you. It humbles you. It strips you bare. But it also sets you free. A deprogrammed mind is not perfect. It is not fearless. But it is free. And freedom is the seed of all change. You will not fix the world. That was never your job. But you can wake up. And by doing so, you give others permission to do the same. This is how the system breaks. Not through force, but through awareness. Not through rage, but through clarity. Not by fighting the machine, but by refusing to fuel it. And that journey begins the moment you choose to take back your mind. Welcome home.